Hey everybody, welcome to Shit I Love with Jason Stewart, that's me, and I have the other Jason here, Jason George from Grey's Anatomy.
What's up, Jason?
And the new show, Station 19.
Station 19.
So, just to let everybody know, Jason and I met him at the Screen Actors Guild after. We're on the diversity committee, and we both ran to be the chair, and he won. That's how I know him the best. And I got to tell you, this guy is so sweet and so kind. And I'm really lucky to have him on the show. Thank you for being here.
No, my pleasure, man. We go way back.
Yes. I mean, so you started in soaps.
Yeah.
On a thing called Sunset Beach.
Yeah, Sunset Beach is my very first gig. It's the reason why I moved to LA. Look, I discovered acting in college, which for a lot of, folks out here is kind of late. Because I feel like, most people who actually start to hit in their 20s were like, child actors and that sort of thing.
I started when I was in my first Purim play at the Temple.
Right.
I mean, I was like 8 or 9 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, did theater in high school, but I didn't. I discovered it in college. And so then I went to graduate school because I was like, I don't think I want to know what the hell I'm doing. And I got this gig. Literally, Aaron Spelling did daytime for the first time. Which, he said, this is before he passed away. He said daytime is really...
I forgot that was Aaron Spelling. Yeah.
He was like, it's really nuts. He's like, daytime is hard. He was like, I'll never do that again.
It is. I mean, the amount of dialogue you have to do in a day. I
right.
just did a guest on a soap, and they said, do you want cue cards? And I went, what?
Yeah, they still do cue cards on some of the shows.
I would like cue cards in everything in life.
They do 60 pages a day. They do an entire full script, an hour show a day, which, Look, it was one of the greatest trainings, because basically what he did was he did like the American Idol thing, where like, we're going to go to all these cities. We went to 8 cities. They called them the B cities. Not New York, not LA. So I was in Philly going to grad school.
Is this before you were married?
I was with my lady then, but we weren't married yet. She was in grad school in Indiana becoming a poet. My wife's a poet and fiction writer, and so she got her MFA from Indiana University. I was getting my MFA from Temple University. Because I didn't want to be in New York. I was like, if I go to New York, I'm never going to graduate. And as it was, this contest that they did pulled me out of my last year of graduate school, like a semester and a half early. And I almost, I was 3 credits shy. Like, the university graduates you with, 60 credits. And the program, you graduate with, 75. You have way more credits than you need. And I had 57. Oh,
my God.
And they were like, come back and do an independent study about the show. Give a talk. And we'll count that as an independent study for your last 3 credits. So I still got my degree. So I went to the Daytime Emmy Awards on a Friday night, and then came down to my graduation Saturday morning.
Oh my God!
And it was great. It was honestly this whole story thing. I got my. So I joined AFTRA first. AFTRA was my parent union.
Right. Which is the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists.
Right.
People don't know at home, but that's where you would do all the things that were put on video at the time.
Everything that was live, because it came, back when all TV was live, and it came out of radio. And
the sitcoms were on there.
Yeah.
A lot of the sitcoms.
Like Roseanne was which is a huge hit coming back now. Everything old is new again. And all those shows were AFTRA shows. AFTRA owned TV and SAG, Screen Actors Guild.
But the hour dramas were all SAG because they were done on film.
Because they shot them on film, but not until later. Not until
But what's really interesting about that, it also depended on what lot you were on. When I did my first job, Life and Times of Eddie Roberts, was on the Warner Brothers lot.
Yeah,
it was a Columbia show. It was Columbia Warner Brothers at the time.
Yeah,
and it was an after show. A SAG show, rather, because it was on that lot.
It was they had SAG and AFTRA had an agreement called the Citus agreement. It was sorry, we're getting super wonky.
Yes,
in inside baseball, but you know what? It's just a testament to the fact that prior to the merger of SAG and AFTRA, which we both fought for, it was just based on medium and these ridiculously relatively arbitrary reasons.
It sort of became very weird as they went on because...
Not sort of, it was completely weird.
Yes.
It made no sense.
It was very strange.
It just, if you were going to create a union to try and protect performers, you're not going to first create 2, and you're not going to split it up based on...
Well, it really was completely different because in the old days, it was SAG was movies, and AFTRA was radio.
Yeah.
That's what it really was.
It was AFRA.
Yeah.
American Federation of Radio Artists. And then they invented this thing called TV.
Right.
And it's it's the history of acting. So when you go back and when you study that history, it's kind of amazing. But you realize, the fact that it took us, decades and decades to merge. And even when they realized they needed to merge back in the early 80s, we still didn't merge until,
Well, that's another
just a few
long
years
story
ago.
that would be too.
But it's just a testament to like the ego of actors, right? That everybody wanted it exactly their way, and it's like you're splitting up the child down the middle kind of thing.
So tell me this. So you were on Sunset Beach
Yeah.
from 97 to 99.
Yes.
And that was 2 years of...
Well, it was like 3 years, because it went right up to, like, we were literally on air right after New Year's of 97, and then went up to almost New Year's of 2000.
Forgive my ignorance, but was the show on more than 3 years? So you left the show?
No.
Or did they kill you? You played Michael Bourne. Was he any relation to Jason Bourne?
No, and that movie had just come out, so we like ran that I remember like doing about 3 or 4 different like press pieces where they made the Bourne joke. But yeah, it went up to, we did just like 3 years. It was like all of 97, all of 98, and really all of 99. Because
you have, I know why you're hired. I know why you're hired all the time. You have this incredible. You make me feel like I'm the only person in the room. You have this incredible voice.
You are actually the only person in the room.
Yes, right now I am. But you have this voice. You have these incredible eyes. People will look and see how handsome he is, and you have this thing about you. But it's not just that; it's something inside you that sort of comes out. And to get a series so young in your career and to work so hard for 3 years. What incredible training it was to work your mind to having to learn this amount. I bet you know what I would do every day? I would look at the script and go, "Oh God, please, I hope I have a small part today," just so I can do well in my one scene, and I could learn it to do well for the one thing.
You would be great at it. It would
I've never done a soap until now. This is the first soap. It was called. It was for the Christian Network. It's called Hilton Head Island. Linda Gray and Donna Mills is on it.
Yes. I actually
Total green screen.
Yeah.
It was very bizarre to do a scene with nothing in the scene and have to use your complete imagination. I felt like a weather girl. Like when they when they look at the...
There's a front coming through, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. Because, people don't know that the weather people, they don't have the weather. It's not there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so who was your character? I never saw the show.
Yeah, so Michael Bourne was this is like true Aaron spelling form. He was the gangbanger turned lifeguard. And so it was one of those things where I was like,
of course.
And this is like this is like the '90s when like everything was like everything was about the hood. It was like
of course. And you got to, if you're black, that means this is who you are.
Gangster. And I was like,
but they switched you to a lifeguard, so things were, in a sense, that's where things were. Yeah, that was their way of saying, "Hey, we're moving up." And then you went right to work with on Titan with
he pulled me from the soap.
Christopher Titus, who's a comedy buddy.
It wasn't. That wasn't Titus's show.
Oh, it wasn't?
No, that was it was Titans.
Oh, Titans. I'm sorry, I'm reading it wrong. Titans. Okay.
Yeah, it was a not a great show. It was a very, very old school primetime drama, and
always about the rich people, right?
Yes,
he loves rich people.
Oh yeah.
He loves rich people.
But it was like it actually got laughs, like unintentional laughs, and I just wanted to get my series regular credit. I was like, so literally...
On a primetime series.
On a primetime series, that's all I cared about. And I was like number 11. I was the black best friend all day. Like, literally everything I ever said on that show, with the exception of, they did one episode out of our first, like, I think we aired like 11, 12 episodes, something like that. Garcelle Bouvet came on as a love interest for me. And that was like the one time where I was like kind of this like fully formed, like, full human being. Otherwise, I came on, I was like, wow, somebody looked like I had a good night, a rough night last night. And that was like the totality of my character was asking the lead questions about his love life and about, giving him an excuse to talk about himself.
But you went from that to a Chris Weitz show, Chris and Paul Weitz. Those guys, they've done some incredible things, about a boy. And
they are fantastic.
Just really, a couple wonderful, they also did Grandma. One of them did Grandma a couple years ago with Lily Tomlin.
With Lily, yeah.
And I thought that film was just incredible.
It's a fantastic movie, and Lily's fantastic in it.
I was, and you got to work on that show.
Yeah, I got to
a show called Off Center.
That's like,
honestly, so you went from one show to another show.
I've been blessed. And Off Center, funny enough, is like, that's my graduating class.
Our career could not be more opposite. I went from crying to sadness to who are you. It is interesting because you've had such an extraordinary career. So, what was it like off center? You said that was your graduating class.
Yeah, those guys are like still like some of my best friends of people in the industry. We still get together.
Oh,
All
so
the
it's like
time.
going to college.
Yeah, I mean, like literally, those are the guys that like I think everybody finds your crew.
I'm like that with a lot of comedians that
Yeah,
we're in the trenches with.
exactly,
Once you would be on the road with somebody, it's like even when you make a movie, if you're there for a couple weeks, you're on the road, you're there, even though you don't see each other a lot. There's a certain intimacy.
Yeah, your family to me
of going through that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I cannot see you for 5 years, but then when I see you, it's like we never stopped.
But I sort of feel like that with you in a sense. You've always you have this thing, and I just so admire it. You have this thing of making people feel a part of your whoever you are and whatever you're doing.
I just like people, man. It's just really I get it from my mom.
I'm afraid of them. Isn't that interesting?
You are not afraid of them.
Oh, yeah.
You get to do stand up. That's like the most. That's like genuinely like the bravest performance thing ever because you can't hide behind anything.
No,
you wrote it. You direct. You. It's everything is you. You can't blame it on a bad director or a bad writer or they cut the thing wrong. It's all.
I could learn so much from you. Can I tell you the truth? I actually wasn't sure you were going to come. When we said the thing, I thought, well, he hasn't confirmed completely and said, hey, I'm coming today. So I thought I'll call him in the morning. And then I was working doing stand-up last night at the Laugh Factory, and I poked my eye. So I poked my eye with my own hand. And the reason I did is because a week and a half ago, I hit my toe on a suitcase, and my toe is swollen, so I took some pain medication.
Right?
Crazy.
So this is effect.
Yeah. So I thought, oh, I guess he's gonna come, and then I got so busy, I totally forgot to do it. And I thought, well, I guess and you're right here in my house, in my office.
No, we get too far back. No, we've been in too many trenches over at the union stuff.
It's funny. Whenever things feel weird, I always can. So I really have. You don't know this. This is why I love doing the show because I could say things that I would never say in real life. And it's called Shit I Love because I actually love you. I just adore you. And I can look at you and if somebody's going crazy in the room on one of our meetings, I can look, what is Jason doing? I'm just going to pretend I'm him. And that's what I do. You obviously were raised right. You were raised right.
My mom did a good job.
I was not. I was raised to running down the street screaming and yelling, and this way someone can hear me,
right?
And make sure, and I can duck things so they don't get me back.
Trust me, we had a little bit of that too. I mean, yeah, my mom's a pretty stinking amazing woman. Single mom, raised 3 black men, and the rules were, we leave the house, she basically throw
Do you say your age?
2 trash men. Yeah, I'm 46.
So
I'm 46. I'm the middle of
the reason
boys.
I say that is because it tells you where you're at. And especially as a black man growing up in this country, it really says where you're at and how things have changed and how some things have not changed.
Seen the whole thing. I mean, my dad was, my parents split up early. My dad was Navy, and he was.
That's the discipline.
That's part of the discipline. I mean, part of it is, my mom's an educated black woman, so just being black, you're gonna get a certain level of discipline. Like you catch a shoe
and education is really important because in those days, because if you did not have education, you would be living, your whole life would be someplace else.
You're trapped.
Because it was all, and for those listening, this is I love to say, if you have kids, get them education. No matter whether it's a trade school, whether it's college, whether it's an art program, whether it's something so they feel that they're good about themselves.
Absolutely.
They feel good about themselves.
Look, at University of Virginia, one of the coolest things that, Thomas Jefferson is a complex character that people want to deify him for so many things and want to, demonize him for so many other things. But what I love about that university is their philosophy is you're not a freshman or a senior. You're first year, second year, third year, fourth year, because your education never ends, right? And the whole principle is the whole philosophy is every place is a classroom. I'll say when I was in college, 60% of everything I learned that I used in my life was outside of a classroom. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so...
But you went through this experience with these people who were going through the same experiences that you were going through at the same time.
Yeah.
That's incredibly important, I believe.
And you got to...
Because I didn't do that. I didn't do that at all. I didn't go to college because I was too afraid.
But even if it's not college, I mean, every time you go to do stand-up, there's a classroom happening. You're watching what's working, what's not working. Too many people... So that's why I believe that education is everywhere. It's like college is basically, we're going to take hundreds of years of this thing, whatever it is you're studying, anthropology, science, whatever, writing. And we're going to take the best out of it, and we're going to boil out the mistakes, tell you what those are and how to avoid those. We're going to boil out what works and give you that. Now you can go do that on your own. I mean, one of the smartest cats I know is actor, Ned Vaughn. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know.
I love
I,
that.
I met him. I don't know him well.
Yeah, Ned bailed on college, but he's one of the smartest
Why
cats
did
I know.
I just didn't go because I was too afraid because I was so treated so badly for being gay as a kid in school that I couldn't see the idea of college. The idea of going back into the trenches and being with kids my own age was so I went to acting classes, and I think I used to think that I was really stupid, and then I realized after a while that when we were in acting classes, I don't know if you were a big acting class person, I studied maybe 20 years with all the different people. I realized that I have a degree in modern American theater, film, television, and that I have, that because we had to know the playwright, we had to know who was on it, who opened a Broadway on it. We have to learn about the character, the time, all the things. How would someone move?
Actual classical training,
yes,
full body voice, the whole
Nina Foch, Roy London, all these really great people, that's where I have a lot of friends too over the years.
Yeah.
So so you went from that to Eve, which must have been a complete culture shock, working in a 3-camera show.
No. I mean, All Center was a 3-camera show. That was I did 5 years of sitcoms, and they.
I didn't know that.
Some of the greatest, because and ultimately soaps are set in a 3-camera thing.
Yes, without an audience.
Right, without an audience. So then it became sitcoms, when they're done right, are like the best blend of doing your theater and doing what film and television bring you, because you have rehearsal time before you actually put it up on the camera. You're on a 1-hour drama. You've got like.
I did a number of sitcoms in the day, and I found being a comic and working with other comics, it's very difficult, because probably for you it's easier, because when you're funny, you know how you're funny fast.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know how you're funny fast, and you've done it so much, and they usually want you to speak in their voice. They want you to do. And
that's the danger. I mean,
yes, it's very difficult until they trust you, and then then it's a whole different story. I mean, and then going from that to What About Brian, which is, another big network show. Yeah. And then going from that, to Eli Stone and getting to work with David E. Kelly. Yeah. Man.
Actually, no, it was Mark Guggenheim.
But wasn't David E. Kelly part of this?
No, not Eli Stone.
Oh my God.
It was
I thought it was a David E. Kelly. It was Johnny Lee Miller. Oh, Johnny Lee Miller.
Yeah.
I know that sounds strange, but it was the same. Yeah, that's Angelina Jolie's ex-husband, her first one.
Yeah.
She's great friends with.
Yeah, he was a super good dude, and really, really hell of an actor, and good people. And he would go for a run. Like, he would run like at lunchtime when everybody's trying to like relax and grab a nap. He'd do like a quick 5-mile run.
Did you ever meet George Michael would sing in somebody's fantasy?
Yes.
Am I right?
Okay, I have.
Did you ever meet him?
And I'm not a singer. Right? I can hold my note in my section, but I had the honor of being a backup singer and dancer. And we went to Capitol Records and recorded backup music for George Michael to sing a Nina Simone classic. Oh, what am Feeling Good.
I love Feeling Good. Well, I love Nina Simone.
Because on the show, George Michael is God. Right,
is that with? Okay.
Eli Stone he's this high-powered lawyer, and he has these visions of. It's one of the shows that like I adore.
It was very out the box.
It was very out the box, and like because he has these visions, and God comes to him in the form of George Michael. Like the first time he hears faith being you got to have faith being sung, and basically he finds out. So here's the deal: you've got a tumor. So these visions are either you being crazy because this tumor's affecting your brain, or God's actually talking to you, or both. Right, and tumor may kill him. But the tumor is also the thing that's giving him this insight and these visions to what's going on. So Mark Guggenheim loves to say that he wanted to create a spiritual show for atheists. And what I loved was it was smart. It was smart. It was hopeful.
Was Loretta Devine in it too?
Loretta Devine, Victor Garber, and basically not in every episode, but in probably 75% of the episodes, they busted out in song. Like literally the second season, the opening number, it's like this huge like Busby Berkeley, Janet Jackson, like massive music video. Where,
I remember.
People are breakdancing in the street. We're all like, and
I think the show it seems more now than it did then.
Here's the thing: it was the season before Glee came out, and they didn't know what to do with this thing. This is where you like artists lead, and the money guys follow, right? But they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to advertise it, and they didn't know. Like you had grown up Glee. This thing had music. It was smart. It was hopeful. And it had a spiritual element that was going to pick up a whole bunch of the Bible Belt without being big over your head Christian. It's like, no, just be a good person. And like, this is a cool, And they're yeah.
This happens all the time. It happens all the time, and it's totally okay. That's an alarm that went off. Things happen like this all the time on my show. A phone rings, somebody else's thing.
It's real life,
and it's real life, and I'm okay with it. Let me take a break here, and I'm going to do a commercial for my only sponsor.
Pay the bills.
Yes, pay the bills. Your home away from home is in Silver Lake, Casa Crawford. In strolling distance to both Echo Park and Silver Lake, Casa Crawford is the perfect bed and breakfast. It's a great Airbnb, 3 miles from downtown and Hollywood. You get this really large bedroom with original artwork on the walls and a gorgeous vision of the hills. So call for reservations now, my friend Scott, at 323-663-1664. That's 323-663-1664. So you went from mistresses, which was what I call, this is when you started getting into the girl shows, and you became the guy. And
that guy.
Yes, and I wondered, so I want to talk all about Shondaland and Grey's Anatomy. So,
Shondaland's a real place, by the way.
Is it?
It's right next to Wakanda. They're both, and I have passports to both of them, I believe, in my mind. And these are my Wakanda beats. Bruce, Uncle Bruce, our set designer on Station 19, actually bought a truckload of us. He just showed up. He was like, we always greet each other. We dap up and we'd like Wakanda forever and give the cross and so he bought us these beads and that sort of thing. But Shondaland is where unicorns live. It's where the rainbow ends, and for everybody who gets there, there's a pot of gold.
And you have 3 children.
I have 3 kids.
And how old are they? From what to what ages?
I have a 14-year-old son, and then I have twins that are a boy and a girl. They're 10 years old.
So you've got 3 people that you have to take care of for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And you're on this. Did you go on as a guest star or an arc?
Yeah, no. I came on to do like 3 or 4 episodes on.
So just a
Grace.
little arc to play the romantic interest.
I did a pilot for Shonda, and. Totally. In fact, my kids had part of me doing it because, like, the guy who created that pilot,
which one was it?
Was called Inside the Box.
Okay.
And it was to, like, what Grey's is to ER, Inside the Box is to Newsroom.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it was the sexy, smart version of let's talk about journalists and that fourth estate, and like how they play the role they play and how hard it is. You know what I mean? That. A good, the best journalists are risking their lives to get us the truth. So it was this amazing, sexy, crazy show, and I was playing this White House correspondent, which find me, back then especially, this is 10 years ago, a black White House correspondent for a major network. Now it exists.
Oh yeah. Now it doesn't because they don't allow them in because of Trump.
Yeah, there were for a minute.
There's who are the black people? There's Omarosa and Carson. That's it. And there are no people. I can't even think of anybody of color that's
in the administration.
Yeah. One woman. Kellyanne Conway,
the definition of
lives,
tokenism.
Lives in the gutter under the street, and every day she comes out.
They just bring her out in front of a camera and they say, "Speak," or gets the hose.
And you can say anything you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be real. You can make it up. She has to that character on Saturday Night Live called the Liar, and they'd say something to him. And
John Lovitz. It was Lovitz, right?
Yes, John Lovitz. Yeah, that's it. Or when Martin Short played this character, and he would smoke this cigarette. I don't know if you saw this greasy guy, and they would say things to him, and he would say, your hair looks really dark. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Why would my hair look dry? My hair isn't dry. It's not greasy. It's dry. Yeah, it's dry. It's dry. And he would do this whole character where everything he said, he would just say something else.
Just contrarian.
Anyway, so you got on Grey's Anatomy and ARC, and how did this? What? And I hate someone who's been through the network. When for those at home, when you get a series and you have a pilot season, you've obviously had a lot of pilot seasons.
Yeah.
I never had a pilot season. Everything is always guest star, recurring in films, a lot of films.
Yeah.
And it's I've had a whole different career, so I'm fascinated by this. The confidence level that you have to deal with these insane, crazy people that decide that, oh my God, I can't use Jason George because he has thick eyebrows. We don't want that on our show. This is most stupid thing.
It gets ridiculous and specific about the reasons why they can or they can't. You're too tall for the lead of our show.
Right?
You're too short for the lead of our show.
Yeah, because nobody has that. Or or you're not the right kind of black guy. Can you do this a little?
Oh yeah.
That's
I've been told that he's not too black, not too white. It's all good. You know, I've heard it all.
It's
I've heard it all.
insulting, I would think.
Yeah. Well, like my favorite, my personal favorite is when, and I'll get this from even people I know and I love, and they'll, but oh, you're the whitest black guy I know, and I was like, really?
Oh,
I was like,
God.
because I love when white people tell me how to be black. I was like, which basically to me is oftentimes code for I know 5 black people.
It's like somebody says, you don't seem gay.
Yeah, right. And you're like, what does that look like?
Yeah, or meaning that being gay is wrong, or being black, or seeming.
Exactly. You don't fit my vision of what that is. Like, you should be, you don't hit your S's hard.
Right.
Your wrist isn't that limp, and you're like, really? Is that all being gay is?
Exactly.
Is that, it's like for me, it's about the fact that I can be articulate. I'm like, I had a teacher for a mother. Like literally, if the word axe, let me ask you a question came out of my mouth. I was catching a shoe because for
you were hit by a shoe.
Oh, it was it was flying, not literally hit by a shoe.
Well, I remember the first black
family
to move in my neighborhood was Cecil, and his mother was a teacher, and his father was a principal.
Oh, so it was a rap.
Oh yeah, and people don't realize. So I used to think. I remember saying to my mother, I said, "Mom, God, I wish I was black." And she said, "What?" I said, "Well, because they're so much smarter than us." My father was from Poland, and my mother was like poor Brooklyn trash. And the only book we had in the house was My Mother's Fear of Flying by Erica Johns on her nightstand that she never finished reading. And they read and they did things. They were encouraged. And I had such a little experience when I was with black people. At that time, it was in the 60s, and I was like 8 or 9 years old. And it was, he became my friend, and I just dug him.
You grew up with the Huxtables.
I guess so. And and it was so weird. And she goes, "You can't be black. Isn't Jewish enough?" And my mother got so upset. She said, "Don't tell your father this. He'll get so upset."
But that's funny because that's like the exact opposite. Because the reason why they'll say it is because you sound too quote unquote articulate, or you sound educated. And I'm like, so part of your vision of what it is to be black is to not be articulate, to not be educated, yada yada.
Well, because that's the people always say. It's the way Trump talks about black people. It's like all black people are.
Look at my black guy. Look at my African American over here. Like
and he says my.
Yeah, my. Like literally, there's ownership.
Like ownership. It's just, and I love Kathy Griffin more than anything, but she'll say my gays, and I just don't. It just grates on me. I don't want to be anybody's anything.
Yeah,
I don't want to stand behind the skirts of a woman and have a woman speaking for me.
Amen.
I want to be able to speak in my own voice and as my own person. Now, getting on Grey's, so how did that whole process go? I'm just fascinated. So you went in audition, just like anything to do this.
Well, I went and auditioned for the pilot for Inside the Box, and the guy who created it, his kids went to the same school that my kids went to, and like the woman who at the time was the like admissions director of the school was like, "Oh, you got to meet Jason George, blah 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 blah," and like she literally, and so
your kids got you the job.
I believe that was part of it. Yeah, and it's not the first time. Mistresses, literally, I'm at a kid's birthday party. And I'd worked with Rena Mamoon, the creator of Mistresses, on another show. She was like, "Oh, but you're doing Grey's, right?" My wife just leaned across because I was recurring on Grey's for several years, not a series regular. My wife leans across and goes, "Oh, he's available." And next thing you know, I was in the office 2 days later to audition for that and got in there. So yeah, the connections that happened, but Michael Chiklis got the commish. I mean, after the commish, he got the shield because his kids went to the same school as
and you know the story about that, right? I listened to him on another podcast, and he said they did not want him at all. Right. And his wife said, "You need to lose weight, and you need to shave your head, and you need to come in as a completely different person." He did all this, and when he had heard about it, it was like literally it was a month before. He did this whole thing, went in, and they didn't want. They were just doing it. They thought, "Oh my God!" The director, rather the showrunner of the show, says, "I'm only having him in because he's a friend. I can't say no to him." Right, because but this is going to be so awkward, and he came in and blew it out of the park.
Crushed it.
Yeah, well, I love those stories because it's the idea that somebody thinks that you are a certain person. Like Chandra Wilson plays this woman on the show.
Oh yeah,
she's a woman of size. Mm-hmm. She was on the show from day one. She is completely different. That's what I loved about the show when it first started. Yeah. Is you saw people on that show that you didn't see anywhere else. Sandra Oh was just...
Chandra's character as written, they called her the Nazi, because originally conceived as a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, Aryan woman.
How did she get the audition?
Because this is the beauty of Shondaland. Shonda Rhimes, Betsy Beers, her producing partner, her work wife, I always said. They saw everybody. Isaiah Washington originally auditioned for McDreamy. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And then ended up becoming Burke. They see everybody. If you open the doors up and let everybody who's of qualified talent, forget about look, just a qualified talent get in the room.
But now the show's changed.
It's all going to completely change.
The show's changed. It's not the same as it was in the beginning. Now it's a little bit more about looks.
Well, it's 14 seasons in. I mean, everything runs. Yeah, and I mean, look.
I think it went.
Well, I'll put it this way.
I have to say, I still love the show, but it did take her company did take a left turn, and I hate to say this on the air, but it is the truth. It's become a little bit about beautiful people.
Well, I'll say attractive people, because
yes,
because sometimes you can have a untraditional kind of beauty while being, but your charisma just comes through.
Exactly.
Chandra Wilson being a chief example, or Matt McGorry. Matt was like is not.
He's
on How to Get Away with Murder, and he was also on Orange Is the New Black. But Matt is not like normally thought of as dashing leading man, but he's just so damn charming, and he's funny as hell, and you just can't not mess with the guy. You got to pay attention to him, and that's so that for me that's the thing. And the network pushes for quote unquote pretty, but.
I think it's a mistake, but that's just me, because I think that's where you lose a lot of the audience, because they cannot identify as much, but certainly not with Grey's. It's one of the biggest hit shows on television.
But they break it up. Look, I mean, one of the guys on Station 19, Oak, Ocadiente, actor. He did Hamilton. He was Hercules. Oh, wow. He was Hercules Mulligan and James Madison in Hamilton.
Wow.
But Oak is diesel as hell, which on television would normally be considered just too thick a dude, because he is muscular as all hell. He lifts heavy things. I watched him. We were one day we were messing around, and Barrett Dawes, one of our actresses, gave a hug to and lifted up Jana Lee Ortiz, our lead, and then Oak walked up and lifted up Barrett while she was lifting up Jana.
The only woman I've ever seen play on a fire show on television that doesn't wear makeup, which I think is really, really the best thing ever.
Soot and sweat are sexy, man. I'm talking about.
Well, but that's real. That's real.
And I was watching the finale last night, and I'm watching Jana run around with. She has her oxygen mask pulled up on top of her head, and what's so dope? She's such a girly girl in regular life. She was a professional salsa dancer. She's a gorgeous woman. She loves getting her massages, getting her nails done, and everything like that, and being, quote unquote girly girl, but when it's time to get down and dirty, like, she has no problem. Like, she's not afraid that she's got that. There's a famous Time magazine cover from like 1,000,000 years ago of a picture of a woman in the Dust Bowl during the Great Depression, and she's like looking out, and it's like, to me, that's the definition of like womanhood, where she's got her 2 kids, and like she has no money, and she's like looking out at the world, like, I will beat you, you will not beat me. That kind of look, and she's got this beauty to her, and it's like the wrinkles are there, earthen, but I'm like, she's the most beautiful woman in the world. Like, you see those photos.
God, there's several women listening to this right now that are actually falling in love with you.
No, but I'm saying Jane.
Well, this is exactly why you're on this show.
She's got
but you were offered Station 19, and you're on the biggest hit show, and you went into the show. You didn't have to. This is people don't know this, but you went to a show that was already a hit. Emmys, working with some of the best people in television. And now you're being offered another show. Now, what I want to know is, if Station 19 wasn't the hit that it didn't get picked up, do you get to go back to Grey's Anatomy?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the understanding, was that there was a little bit of a safety net, because I never left Grey's. I just stopped being a regular on Grey's, but I still I did the entire first half of the season, and then in the last 10 episodes, I probably did 3 or 4 episodes. Still,
but it probably doesn't even feel like you're doing a different show, because it just feels like your character got bigger.
It's just going home. I've been describing it to people as like there's a family that you grow up in, that you were born into and you grow up in, and then there's a family that you go and make in the world, right? The friends and the loved one, hopefully a spouse or whatever, the family that you build, right? But if it's all in the same town, you don't,
you're playing the same character. So
it's still you, right?
What did you? The other day you were on Grey's, and you were just, I think it was, you just came in to say something to Miranda, and then you were in bed with her.
Yeah. That's what I love about the fact that the 2 shows. The big hook for me was the idea, because Private Practice was another spinoff of Grey's Anatomy,
right?
But it was set in Los Angeles, so in order to get these doctors from LA to be together with the doctors in Seattle, there need to be some event, something need to be happening.
Right.
We're right down the street, so it's like it's Tuesday. Just roll through. You don't need a reason.
So you're still going to be coming back to Grey's quite a bit?
I
Are you still a regular on that show?
I'm not a regular on there, but I pop in. You know,
because you're still in the credits. You know,
and so yeah,
this will be the last.
This season I am. Next season we'll see. But you know, what I love is that they just blend the two together just to make sure that it's a world. You know what I mean?
Wow. So, and the wife was, the wife say, you're leaving the biggest show with a, you know, and I'm sure that the paycheck is fabulous and it's, you're on this, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden you're going to a new show that may not, you know, she said, you better keep this other job.
There's risks involved, but you know what? I'm a believer that you got to, the earlier you kind of like, I mean, we were talking about that integrity thing a little bit earlier, you know, the earlier you can kind of like boil down the things that you believe in this world, what you're about. And stick to your guns about it, the better off you'll be. So, like, I figured out early on that, like, you know, if I wanted safety and security, I'd have been the lawyer I planned on being when I went to college before I took that first acting class, right? So, hard decisions. And it goes back to the beginning before, I mean, you know, people think, well, it's easy to say that now that you're like, you know, you've been on Grey's Anatomy for, you know, better part of a decade or whatever. And I'm like, actually, I remember literally when I auditioned for Titans, right? So, this is my first primetime audition, really. I've done the soap, and that's it, right? And you know, in the primetime world, nobody gives a damn about your soap, really.
No, they don't. They have no respect for soap.
They're like, whatever, man. So I go into audition, and when I audition for Titans, normally you go into audition, and it's like, and I'm auditioning for this other project, right, called Celebrity. I still remember it. It came down to me and Shamar Moore, right? But he was coming off the Young and the Restless, a massive hit soap, you know, and we were a middling soap that just got canceled, right? You walk into a room, there's 30 people from the studio in there because all have to weigh in on whether or not you're the guy.
Do they make you weigh? They weigh you?
Oh, you're waiting in the room.
I think they weigh you. They put you on a scale. I'm kidding.
Exactly.
And I can no longer lie about my weight and my age.
His BMI is a little heavy. But you go in, you sing for your supper in front of the studio. That's like 25, 30 people. Then you come back the next day and do it in front of the network. And it's another like 30, 35 people all sitting in these theaters. This is back in the day. Now they do it all by tape. But you're just going in these huge rooms packed with people that are all
They do the network things on tape now?
They do more of them on tape
because I do tape all the time.
There's some that I know you book off tape.
I prefer it.
See, I got to get in the room. I like to look people in the eye.
I don't, because I think that when I go in, there's a million things that I can do wrong.
Yeah.
Because of who I am. I'm not who they're looking for ever. Rarely. I'm the guy they went, oh my God, this is great. Why didn't I think of this?
I want that little bit of extra pressure. I like that little bit because then it's like, because then I get a little small, like I'm gonna come at y'all. I'm gonna do something that y'all are not ready for.
Really?
You
got that confidence.
It's what gets me excited. It's about you want to scare yourself a little bit.
But I'm frightened every day. I don't need to be scared anymore.
But check it. So I'm auditioning for this thing, Celebrity, right? And it comes down, and I'm auditioning. I go into audition for Titans, and literally instead of 30 some people, it's the writer and the director.
Oh wow!
And there was no other dude sitting there. I realized I'm the list, and if they like me, I'm in. Because Spelling already said this is the guy.
Oh.
Right? And so I go in, I audition. I don't make it home before I get a call that, you booked the job.
So it's your job to lose, as they say.
And it was mine. And 45 minutes later, they said, congratulations, you're, new series right on the new Aaron Spelling show, which is going to, we're certain it's going to be a hit. We're sure it's going to get picked up. It's going to be great. But I really I knew that character was the black best friend. It was just going to be like, number 11 on the call sheet, just, anything my character did on any given day could have been done by any given co-star actor, they planned, right?
Exactly.
It was never about him. He didn't have any meat there. The role was not really exciting because I was like, this character is functional, he's not a human. And then the Celebrity thing was basically to play Lenny Kravitz, basically to play this like the biggest freaking rock star on the planet, and how he's like, what that does to your regular life.
That's a whole different thing for you.
He can't find love because every woman just wants to be with the idea of him, but not the real him. And I'm like, that's what's up. So I was like, so when they said you book Titans, I was like, well, tomorrow I'm doing my final test for Celebrity. Can I give them an answer tomorrow? Even if I just know how I felt in the room. If I go in the room and was like, I did okay, let's book the other thing. But if I was like, no, I killed it in the room, then I got to wait for this other thing. And they were like, no, you have to tell us now. You have to tell us now.
Sure.
Which, by the way,
because to me, your persona is not come to me. You go to them, and which is odd for a guy I think that's what's really interesting about you. I think there are two kinds of people: people that have they say come to me.
Right.
That's what they do in life, and some people that go to you, and that's it's just a thing. And because of the way you look, being a handsome man, it's an unusual character trait.
Yeah.
for you. It is, because it's usually the other way around, because people that are good looking and have this sort of, this thing, you get too much attention in life. So of course it would be a natural inclination to go, let them come to me, it's too much. Whereas somebody who's an average dude like myself, you're always going and trying to get in. So I study people like you because I want to learn to be that. And that's what, and I've succeeded in that in some way in my life. As getting older, I don't have. Like we were talking about.
You still here?
I still here. I turned down an audition the other day, which is a big deal because I don't have an Italian accent. I can't do it well, so it's okay to do that. It was a big audition because you don't want to go into the room and not be good and prepared at this late stage of your game of the game. Everything I do, I want to do well. And if it's something that I don't do,
it's like, am I doing this just
like I'm Daniel Day-Lewis and I have 6 months to learn the Italian accent and then learn how to play the ukulele and then when I'm not doing it to make shoes for people because.
but that's the thing is it's like do you why are you doing it? What are you doing it for?
I want to be great at everything I do. I want to do.
You want to be excited by it.
Oh yeah, but I also want to be good.
Yeah,
that's that's the biggest goal always.
Because when you're excited about it, you will not stop working hard to make it the best it can.
And I want to bring something to the plate that somebody else might not have brought. That's what I love.
If it's boring, if it's like look, there's 4 reasons to do any job: the role, the people, the billing, the money. I'll play Othello on a street corner because I got to take a shot at playing the Moor, right? You got to do it. Right? And I don't care. It's like I just got to take a shot at it. The people. I'll be guy number 3 for Martin Scorsese or Steven Spielberg. Like I'll just give me. I don't need to. I don't even need a line. I just want to hang out.
It's Martin Scorsese. It's now Spike Lee again because he's coming back.
Spike's crushing.
He's coming back with the Klansman film, which I can't wait to see.
It's supposed to be off the chain.
Well, he completely changed the way he completely changed.
Standing ovation at Cannes as well.
I'm so happy for him because I was like. This is a filmmaker. X was one of my favorites.
X is one of
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing. School Days. I was just talking about this with Ana Ortiz in New York yesterday. We were like School Days. We were both tripping because we were like nobody talks about School Days. We were like I quote School Days with my brothers.
It was so, and also a lot of big stars came out of that.
Oh, Giancarlo Esposito. I mean Fishburne was already a big star, but that put him on a whole other level. But one of my favorite Spike Lee films that nobody talks about, and this is you talking. I guess
I love Jungle Fever.
Jungle Fever
because it was so romantic.
Inside Man.
Because he didn't write it.
It's this great heist flick, and you realize
Jodie Foster just talked about it the other day in an interview. It's a great fucking movie.
It's one of the best heist flicks, and what's cool is that all Spike's politics about class and race and all that stuff comes through in it, but it's all subtle. It's all subtle underneath it,
and women. He gave a lot of great parts to women.
Jodie Foster has like a couple of scenes where she just tears the room apart and owns everybody. It's a great.
Do you want to work more in film?
I do, but finding time is the hard part.
Now you got 2 shows.
It's I'm trying. I mean, I gotta, I did, Will Packer and Gaberille Union Will shot me a text, and so Breaking In just came out. With Gaberille Union, and I play.
I've got
just because I want to support
I work with her.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
You know how I work with her.
Oh,
in Birth of a Nation, I play the guy that.
Oh right.
Yeah, I'm the guy that in Birth of a Nation. There's 3 villains. It's rape, murder, and torture. Rape.
Yeah.
So it's terrible. So it's so
good
interesting.
To meet you.
And I spent a day with her, and I spent more time with her. Doing the promo for the film.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. She has this incredible aura about herself, and she
kind of glows.
She comes in with incredible self-confidence, and
she's funny. She's raw.
People forget that now because she seems to have gotten this real dynamic personality and stuff.
She does, and so. But we had a great.
I didn't know you were breaking in.
Yeah, I play her husband, but and essentially get my ass kicked in the tail end of the film. But I just want to come and support because anything But I love flicks with like smart action thrillers with a female lead kicking ass, and I buy it, and I'm like, I just want to support that. So
So now, tell me, God, there's so many questions I have. Sandra Oh, one of my favorite actors.
She's phenomenal. That's one of my only
biggest
regrets.
loss.
I've gotten to enjoy so much of my time on Grays, but we overlapped by a year, 2 years, and
did you get to work with her? I can't remember.
No, we never really had that many scenes. I mean, we were in scenes where they've got all 10 or 12 of us in the scene, but we never had anything one on one. Like Patrick Dempsey and I, for a while, were
wonderful on the show. I was sorry to see him go.
It was lovely. I mean, 14 seasons is a long time, and nobody signs up nobody signs on to be an actor to do a 9 to 5 job.
No.
And after a bunch of, and it sounds like, granted it's champagne problems, but, like I said, role people billing money,
And this show has had its, for some reason, this show seems to be, the behind the scenes of this show could be another show. You know what I mean?
Well, actually, these days it's amazingly drama free overall.
Right, it seems that way.
Because, they just, because at a certain point in time,
I always felt so bad about what happened with, I'm the national co-chair of the Screen Actors Guild LGBT committee, which really has to do with the guy that played Burke, Isaiah Washington. So, and I don't know exactly what went down, but when, during that time, when I guess he somehow that he was called a faggot, and he used this terrible word about T.R. Knight, and somehow it happened, and there was an apology, and it was off the air, and it was fine, and then just something happened, and things happen in life, and I believe in forgiveness.
I mean, all that stuff predates me.
Yeah,
and
then that's how our committee was started, because there was no one for them
real?
to. Oh yeah, there was no. When I sent the letter in, I know
that little piece of history?
It's 13 years ago, and I sent the letter in constantly because I said we should start this committee. I said there's a black committee, there's a Hispanic committee, there's a women's seniors.
We have to protect our people.
There's nothing for this. And this had happened. It was all over the news. And then Isaiah made the mistake. I don't know whether he had a couple drinks at the Golden Globes, which everybody does, because people don't know that they have.
It's the best. It's SAG Awards and Golden Globes.
Yeah, they have dinners and people drink.
Dinner and liquor, and thank God for it.
And during when they won Best Drama, he went up and said, "I didn't call him," and he used the word again. And I thought, and he did it on television, and that was like the nail in the coffin at that time. And then they said, "Hey, we have to be able to handle these problems. We don't have any committee to do that at the Screen Actors Guild," and that's how it started. And I felt bad for him because I met him again when he did Patrick Ian Polk's film with Monique called Blackbird, and he played the father of a gay son. And
he's a phenomenal actor.
I think so
and
too.
TR is a phenomenal actor too. I mean, they're both. And what's cool is that
TR worked for Chandra again on Catch.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying is that I sound like a sycophant when I talk about Shonda and Betsy, but I just love the fact that we've hit this time again where the 80s, the me generation, the whole Reagan years just get me as much money, and now we come back around to this kind of like they want to build ensembles and just hold on to them. Like if you do one Shonda show and you come with the thunder as an actor and you're good people. Because the rule is no assholes. No assholes in Shondaland. But so
I can't even understand how that happens, because I guess for me, I've been
many assholes. So many.
No, I can see. I understand how things can happen. Because sometimes you have to deal with some things. It's people not doing their jobs, and the focus. I think that people don't understand about acting is the focus is so strong.
Yeah,
and everybody comes to it in a different way.
Yes,
and some people need quiet, and some people don't. And some people, I remember once I was doing a film with Faye Dunaway, and there was somebody doing something, and she did the scene where she cried. She says, "You have to move that guy from my eye line," and I never understood what that meant, because I remember somebody saying Diana Ross didn't like people looking at her when she worked, and now I understand what that means. It's just that you need this. Really privacy, because sometimes it's so hard.
It's an entire acting exercise. They teach you acting 101, private moment, to be able to have the most intimate and private moments in public. And it's a little bit easier when they, I mean, the easiest way to understand it is, if you're going to get literally physically naked, they close the set. And everybody goes, I get that. You know what I mean? Because you need a little bit of privacy. And you go, okay, now, that's the one end of the spectrum, but it's a sliding spectrum.
Exactly.
Sometimes I just have to have this really intimate moment. I need that. But everybody's a different level of that stuff. But look, both Isaiah and TR came back and worked for Shonda on either Grey's or different shows. Like, Burke came back and did an episode or two of Grey's years later. TR came back and did The Catch. It's one of those things where, it's family. At the end of the day, I think everybody...
Will Katherine Heigl ever come back? No, she's dead. They killed her.
Yeah.
If you get killed on the show, I thought that always meant something really terrible. But, so now what's going on with the show? I mean, are you going to be going back next year?
Yeah, I mean, Station 19.
And Chandra's going to go over to Station 19 too?
Yeah, I mean, she'll come over and hang with us. I mean, because she's, she is the primary doctor for Pruitt on the show. Pruitt Herrera, played by the incredible Miguel Sandoval, who's talking
I
about
got to tell you,
journeyman actor.
I did an episode of Fire Company 136, I think, with him, and I just fell in love with him.
He's been there, done that.
And he is the voice of Lockup.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite show.
He's, Miguel, it's just, I don't know. It's sort of, also like we hang out at SAG-AFTRA, and I love talking to like journeyman actors, and you can always spot. I always joke that like you talk about like the two different kinds of people. I'm like there's two different kinds of actors.
He's a come to you.
There's stars and there's journeyman actors. And journeyman actors like Viola Davis, as big a freaking star as she is, it's because she's a journeyman actor. Sam Jackson.
And some of them are both, and some of them go back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, I think Meryl Streep is a journeyman actress, and part of that is Julianne Moore, all the stuff that comes from being a big honking star. But at the end of the day, I had the pleasure of working with Mamie, her daughter. She's like, her mom cooks family dinner, and it's like as regular as regular gets at home. Meryl Streep, as opposed to wanting to be pampered and treated like it. I don't
think anybody likes that. I was friendly for a while with Streisand's son, Jason Gould, and his mom would call his mom, but that's what I saw. It was his mom would call him all the time. Why don't you come over? Why don't you do this? Why don't you? And she'd always want to be with him. Yeah. He didn't want to be with her all the time. My mom, I'm busy. I have a life. He was an adult. Yeah. But he's still got the Jewish mother calling on the phone, saying, "Are you going to come over for dinner? We're having dinner. We're making so and so." And I remember hearing, it sounds like my mother.
But you need that though, right? I mean, it's like you need.
But I think people forget that we're just people.
Yeah.
And so what's going to happen with your character on the show?
I mean, the finale left off, and right now, I'm sitting there, literally speaking to Meryl Streep. He's sitting on the Sophie's Choice. Like when we don't get the scripts until maybe a week in advance, and we're always trying to get hints and stuff out of the writers. We're trying to grind them, put white spotlights in their face, and tell me what's coming up, what's going to happen. And Stacey McKee, who created the show, said to me, she goes, "There's just going to be some Sophie's Choice. Some Sophie's Choices need to get made." And sure enough, at the end of the episode, I'm sitting here with one of the firefighters, the one who really works in the medical stuff a lot. And so it's kind of like, in a way, he's my mentor into this thing. I'm a doctor, but learning how to do it out in the field and everything like that, he's got more experience in that regard.
Oh, I love those little banters back and forth.
Yeah, and we have a good time. Like he and I give it to each other. But he's at the end of the finale last night, he's got a massive shard of glass that maybe piercing his heart. It's like
Well, she loves that at Shonderline. There's always somebody that's got an axe in their head, or something they can't remove. So, I don't know where she gets these things from.
I got him laying here with a shard of glass in his chest, bleeding out, and then I've got a young woman who is 20 years old, who's lying there. She got trampled in a stampede of people trying to get out of this burning building, and it won me with no utensils. And so this is where I'm sitting trying to figure out how to save everybody, when I'll be lucky if I manage to save one. And that's where we left off for the season. So I'm just excited because, that plus there's this is what I also dig. That we found this one thing that for me rings so true. Chandra Wilson and I get to keep going round and round with this whole, how do you deal with this life where one of you goes out and risks their life every day, And you want to,
the character hates it.
Yeah, exactly. And she's like, "I need you to share with me so that you can get it off your chest." And I'm like, "Yeah, but if I share with you, you won't sleep ever. You can't know everything I do because you will never sleep and never be, and be
it's better just to say it was an easy day today.
You know what I mean? And so we had that dance, and we it's one of those problems that you never solve. You just beat it back a little bit.
Did you know before that your character, when you had the whole storyline on Grays, that you were when you went in and
when I grabbed the coat and ran back into the fire to try and save
all the things, there was a lot of things that your character became very reckless.
Yeah, no,
and you wanted, and you were just sort of like Kid. What's his name? The other guy, the British.
Oh, Kevin McKidd.
Kevin McKidd. And you were sort of like this. He's very similar to that. He's always rushing in and doing something because he was in Vietnam or whatever it was, or the Gulf War. And he. So was that? Did you know that?
No,
you were setting up this show for that.
No,
that you would go into another profession.
I don't think originally they didn't know it then. You know what I mean?
Because it seemed like
when they wrote the last episode of last season, where my character, who turns out is deathly afraid of fire, runs into the fire to try and throws on a firefighter's coat, turnout coat, to run into because he knows like their dear friend is in there, and he's the last one who saw her, so he's got the best chance of being able to track where she went. And he's like, I know I'm scared as hell, but I'm more scared of her dying. So guess what? We're running in. They've been building this arc with him for a while, and I think a lot of it was subconscious but fun, where he's an adrenaline junkie, where if it's, in the moment, he's not afraid to make the play that will get him in trouble later on, even though it's the right thing to do. It's against protocol, but protocol is going to get this person killed.
Oh.
Protocol is usually about insurances and covering our ass, not about saving this person's life. You know what I mean? So I'm going to do what's going to save this dude's life. So they had this moment where he cuts open a dude with a clipboard. He broke off the metal part of the clipboard, cut open his heart, reached in, grabbed hold of his heart, because this guy was going to die. He was never going to make it out of that room. He was already, ways into the thing. And at that time, the guy lives.
Wow.
Later on, he cuts open a pregnant woman because he's like, they're in a lockdown. And she dies and the baby dies. It's a bad outcome, and he almost gets kicked out of the program. So they built this adrenaline thing. Where
Are there any gay characters on?
Oh yeah,
on 19?
Yeah. On 19, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, Maya, played by the beautiful and talented Danielle Savory, is omnisexual. She's like Wednesday self care. She's like,
she likes that a lot on Grace.
She's like, I'll find a guy or a woman, and then Travis, the guy who's got the shard of glass in his chest at the end, is gay. His husband died. You find out during the course of the show.
Could he fall in love with an older man?
Well, right now he's in love with a very handsome brother who he's fallen for this guy who's a chef who's kind of perfect, but he's kind of screwing it up because he's.
What's the actor's name?
Jay Hayden is playing Travis, and he's just dipping his toe back in the thing.
Is he gay himself?
No, actually, Jay isn't.
I'd like him to have. My goal is for Chandra to have some actual gay people on the show playing gay people. That would be my goal for just. My fantasy is to be on that show, playing somebody's boyfriend, because it's like you play this guy you're with a woman of size, and that doesn't happen a lot on television, where it's usually the other way around. It's usually you'll see on every sitcom.
Yeah, big guy hot
wife.
Yeah.
Will and Grace did the big takeoff on that. They're watching too. Big guy hot wife, ugly guy hot wife. Overly skinny guy hot wife. Goofy guy hot wife. Always that thing. So my fantasy is to be on the show. I always want to play someone. I always thought that I would play the head nurse on the show and just go, okay, I'll give you that, and just be sort of take over where Chandra Wilson would have gone if she hadn't gone into surgery, just running the nurse's station. That's my fantasy. Oh, this has been so great. I'm wishing you so much love and success on this new show, and I hope that it runs forever. But I still want you back on Grey's. I think.
No, I will. I want me to keep showing up on Grey's too, because that's home.
I miss it. I miss it so much. Now, if people want to get a hold of you, what can they do? Do you have a website or?
No, I don't have a website.
Are you an Instagram or a Twitter guy?
Yeah, I do Twitter and Instagram at Jason Winston George or Jason W George. On Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and then
because you used to be Jason Winston George.
Yeah, and then I
dropped it.
It's I mean, that's my full name, and I stopped using the Winston so much because I don't know when I joined the union. There's a rule in the union. You remember this? Where like
it used to be you couldn't have the same name as somebody.
Can't have the same name. So you there's a Jason George, and I just knew there had to be a Jason George already because I was like, it's such a plain name. Turns out there wasn't. I could have had it.
My God!
But now, so I went to get the website years ago just to like have it so nobody could like do anything weird with my website, my name. But JasonGeorge.com was already taken by this guy, this director. He's actually a photographer and DP in Canada.
Every name
right?
there is a Steve McQueen.
Right.
So
oh yeah.
There's two Steve McQueen.
Director, right? Phenomenal director. But so and then there's another actor, black actor. A little bit young, around the same age, a little bit younger than me, in LA, named Jason George. And for a minute, this writer, Jason George, very, very talented writer, got nominated for an Emmy for I forget which show, for Nashville.
But who would want to have your name?
He and I were at the same management company. I had a
conversation. And they let him use his name?
I had a conversation. He's a writer. I had a conversation with a manager for about 3 or 5 minutes. And for about 5 minutes and about 3 minutes in, before we realized you're talking to the wrong person. I was like, we'd met before. And I was like, yeah, we've met at a party. But I don't know why you're calling me. And she's talking. And I'm going, what is going on? And finally she goes, and you're the wrong Jason George. And we realized that.
Does he still use the name?
Yeah, he's a great writer. He's doing great stuff. He should
at least have another.
No, this is what I want to do. I want to find something and do a short or something like that. That can be written by Jason George, directed by Jason, shot by Jason George, starring Jason George and Jason George. I just want to do something so the name never changes. It just changes.
There's one comedian, Jason Stuart, Stewart, and I'm Stuart.
Right.
And when I found out him it was around 15 years ago, MySpace, we talked back and forth on MySpace. He said, "Yeah, I'm going to change your name," because I said, "You don't want to go through the clubs and be known as the gay guy." I mean, it's not going to be a selling point. I'm telling you right now,
right.
And he never changed it. He stayed with it, which I thought was sort of dumb for him, because who wants to be? I don't know. You want to have your own identity,
At the end of the day,
Well, this has been so great. Thank you so much. I'm wishing you so much success with the show, and I hope that you get to go back and forth and
appreciate
everything that happens.
Yeah, this has been fun.
Yeah, thank you for being on the show. Everyone, take care until next time.